What's up guys, Mr. SLIN here with another video. Today I'm talking about Steam stats and Team Fortress 2's Steam stats. I don't know if you guys know this, but you can Google Steam stats and you can check out how many people are playing Steam games at any given point in time. It's got this really fancy graph, it's got these numbers, and right here you see Team Fortress 2 at the third place position with a peak today of 72,000, and currently there's 57,000 people playing TF2. Now I've known about this for a long time. I've always taken these stats for granted, but when I was bringing it up on stream a couple days ago, someone popped in and saying, hey, actually, did you ever consider that those numbers aren't really real? And that never really crossed my mind. I always just kind of took this for granted. I was like, yeah, Team Fortress is a popular game, one of the top 5 games played on Steam. But, you know, you could dig around some more and try and learn more about that. And so I actually did some digging. I went into the casual game mode, and I'll show you guys a screenshot that I took from last night. This screenshot I took at like 4:30 in the morning Pacific time. And it was a particularly long queue because it's 4:30 in the morning, no one's playing. And, you know, nearby, like, nobody's queued up at all. I have 10,000 people worldwide that are in game. That's what it says. And I also brought up the Steam stats and showed here that, wait a second, there's 61,000 people playing right now. So it kind of made me start questioning, like, where's everybody? What are they possibly playing? Now, of course, there's other game modes out there, right? There's competitive, ha. There's man versus machine, right? You got like pastime. You got, of course, the community servers. And so I was digging around trying to find information about that. Right here, you can actually look up this other website. This is called Steam Spy. And if you look up Team Fortress 2 stats on Steam Spy, by the way, I have no idea how they get their data, but they must be data mining or something. But right here, it's saying that they have, oh, we'll scroll in a little bit here. It's got 40 million players who own this game. I'm assuming that's really 40 million accounts because, you know, each account probably adds to that unique number. And then you've got here peak concurrent players yesterday, 70,000, which is mirroring what I'm seeing over here, right? It's 72,000 over here. So this seems congruent. YouTube stats, it's got like, you know, 300,000 views-ish across the last week on YouTube, and the average play time being about 10 minutes. It's interesting stats. You can just dig around here, check this out a little bit. But I was digging into this some more, and when I saw this screenshot, right, when I brought this up, I was like, man, where are the other 50,000 players? You know, the first thing that came to my mind was like, I'm pretty sure this game's really popular. Like, I gotta look into this myself. So I went into my community browser just to see how many people are playing, right? This is the next thing I did was I went right to my browser. And I'm looking at it saying, okay, there's like, let's see, 800 servers here, right? And like, I'm looking at the number of players, and I'm trying to add these players up in my mind, and I'm like, there is no way that this is adding up to like 50,000 players that I'm not seeing, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, that seems a little weird. And then someone in my stream was like, okay, well, you live in North America at 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, it's probably like noon-ish in Europe. So one of my viewers, Astro, pops up his game browser, and it looks like this, and he's seeing something different than mine. He's seeing like, you know, 2,500 servers, and his looks a lot more popular than mine does. But, you know, if you just take a quick scan of these players here, like you add this up, and this has got to be like, I don't know, like 1,000 players, like right here. And I'm just thinking like, man, like this is really not adding up. Maybe there's like a ton of AFK players or something. I don't really understand where everyone is. And this is just an honest question. I actually still really don't have the answer to that question. There is this other guy though. His name is Gentleman John. I don't know if you guys know him. He's kind of like the resident TF2 stats guy. And he says, I recently saw this graphic illustrating data about community server activity across the vast majority of the TF2 player base harvested from the game coordinator. So basically what he's saying is they harvested this data from the game coordinator, and this is what they got. I took a screenshot of it so that way I can zoom in on it. And sorry if it's kind of hard to see on my monitor, but you know, look at here the top left. This is for January 22nd, 2017. And you see that there's a maximum of 20,000 players playing on community servers with the minimum of, let's say, like 12,000 players with no bots or fake players in there. 0% means that it's greater than 0 players. So I'm looking through here. I'm looking at the different types of game modes. You got like territorial control. You know, there's you got a lot of people playing in achievement servers, 10% of that. And you got like 10% playing in CP Orange, which is a buttload. Looking around here, what's everyone playing? It's like, okay, CTF 10% going around. I don't know what even VSH is. I have no idea what that is. Trade 12%. Ponyville 0%. Bless you guys. There's some hope here in the world. I'm trying to look for the competitive players, and what I found out here was like, okay, I looked at this going like, okay, non-casual maps. That's got to be like competitive, like maybe Swiftwater or something. So that's 1% right there. Then I look at Koth, non-casual, like 1% over here. You look over here, there's another Koth, that's 2%. So I'm assuming this is all the casual Koth maps. These are all the comp Koth maps. So you got 1%, 2%. 3% here, and then you got another 2% here from the 5CP, so that's like 5%. So 5% of 20,000, I gotta pull up my calculator, what I got here. So you got, 5% of 20,000, and you got like 1,000 people playing competitive. Is that right? Gotta do that again, just make sure gotta make sure I got the right number here. 20,000. Yeah, it's like 1,000 players playing competitively. It's like, man, that number is really low, but I guess it makes sense, right? I guess it makes sense. And I'm looking at this going like, man, it still doesn't really explain to me where the other players are. Like, assuming, right? Go back to the screenshots. I got 10,000 people playing in casual game mode. I got, let's be generous here and say like 20,000 people playing in community servers. It's like 30,000. I'm still not quite getting to 60,000. The 22nd of January, by the way, in case you guys were wondering, is a Sunday. So it's not quite the exact same day that I logged in, but I'm still looking at this number just going like, it doesn't really add up. And I want you guys to tell me in the comments, like, what that number has to be. Because from what I was hearing from my chat when I was streaming was that this number is like a number of bots. And I do know that there's a number of bots. I mean, if you just Google like TF2 bots or TF2 botting, it's like TF2 botting is a thing. And it's not like illegal botting. It's like whatever legitimate botting is. I tried to do some research here, but you can have like legitimate trade bots. These very popular TF2 trading websites have them. So these bots, you trade with the bot, and they have like an inventory, and you can pull stuff out of those websites as well. So I mean, there's got to be a lot of those bots, but there can't be like 30,000. You don't need 30,000 bots to support the TF2 economy. And then someone else was also bringing up how maybe there's probably a lot of people that are AFKing and just trying to collect metal. And someone had anecdotally told me a story of someone who had like 10,000 TF2 bots, and they're just farming tons of scrap metal so that way they could just cash that in for real items. Seems like a complete waste of time, but apparently someone is doing that. And yeah, it really kind of blew my mind. And I was like, man, like competitive players really, like generously speaking, I mean, this is including like competitive CTF, whatever that is. Like generously speaking, that's like 5% of players. So it's a really small amount. And it seems like the bulk of the players are coming from CP Orange, achievement servers, trade servers, and a bunch of people playing CTF. I'm only assuming that these are brand new players playing 2 Fort or something. It was just kind of mind blowing to me. And I was like, wow, like I'm really surprised that Valve even bothered to create a matchmaking game mode when like so much of their player base is clearly extremely casual. Like it's very difficult to have a competitive CP Orange. And it kind of gave me some hope, actually. At first, it seemed like really depressing to see like just how small the competitive community is. But the competitive community is always very small across the players in any game. And the fact that Valve is even investing into the competitive scene just goes to show that they think that that's a potential growth path for the game. I mean, if I was Valve, I don't think that the best way to grow TF2 would be to just, oh, wow, 10% of people are playing achievement servers. I'm just going to create tons and tons of achievements. That'll really open up this slice of the pie here and open up what, with a player base for competitive TF2, like adding tons of achievements. I don't really think that's the strategy here. I don't think that, buffing up CP Orange is the key. One person could look at this trade segment and go like, wow, that's actually pretty significant. And obviously TF2 has a pretty well-known economy. And yeah, I would say that like introducing new items to the game, introducing new crates to the game, that's one way that they can increase their revenue. But I think what they're really looking to do is increase the number of players that are playing TF2. I mean, yeah, it's an older game, but it's still one of the most popular games on Steam. If you believe this number, this is still one of the most popular games on Steam at any given moment in time. Now, if I cut that number, that's what I was trying to get to, is like if I cut that number in half, so I was saying like 20,000 people in community servers plus the 10,000 in casual, it's like 30,000. It's not top 3 anymore. It drops down to somewhere around here, right around where Football Manager 2017 is. That's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's still like top 12 games at that point in time, right? So it's still one of their top games. I think what they're thinking is that, and I've talked to the developers about this briefly myself, is like they got inspiration for TF2's matchmaking from Dota 2's matchmaking, from Counter-Strike's matchmaking. And if you look at these two games, these are clearly big money makers right now for Steam. So what they're hoping is they can, get this title in line with these other two very popular titles. And even though TF2 has a very significant casual player base, I do think there's a future for competitive. I think, like I've mentioned in other videos before, it'll take some work, but I did want to kind of come back and talk about how, yes, I agree, lots of casual players, lots of trading, that's still going to happen, right? Lots of CP Orange and 2-4. But I also do think that if there's a path forward for TF2 to increase that number from a peak of 72,000 to over 100K, back to the good old days, if you look at let's see, like TF2, Steam stats, there's another website you can look at here called Steam Charts. And it goes and shows you like charts for, and it's probably really dark on my screen, for like all time. And the most people ever playing TF2 according to this thing, and this thing tracks from July 2012. So not back to the 2008 days when TF2 first started, but since they started tracking in 2012, the peak was 118,000 players. So I think there is a way to get back there, to get TF2 back to over 100K and beyond. And I do think that given that the other two most popular titles are esports for Valve, they got to be thinking the same thing here for Team Fortress, and Rocket League also an esport. That makes their top 4 titles here esports. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, where are those other 30,000 players? I guess there's a bunch of people who have TF2 open that are just idling, but that just seems really unlikely to me. It seems really inflated for some reason, but I'd love to know what you guys think. Thanks for watching the video. Catch you on the next one.